Of ABC. Let me get one call and then you get your...
You're not going to let me tell you.
Oh, yeah, she's going to grill me about my personal life. Here's Tammy in Tampa, Florida. Hello. Tammy in Tampa, Florida. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing, kid?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. Barbara Walters is right here. Say hello.
Hello, Barbara.
Hello, Tammy.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you if you agreed with the way Connie Chung handled the Newt Gingrich mom's case when she said, "Whisper to me."
What a surprising question.
Yeah, isn't it, though? Notice I didn't bring it up. And I just said, when Tammy asked the question, I said to Barbara.
Well, you know, I thought that I might be asked this question. So I called Connie, whom I'm very fond of. That's another myth that women in television
Of
don't
course
like
it is. I wouldn't even bring that stupid stuff up.
Okay. And aren't you glad that we've got a phone call so that people don't know that I was asking you how come you never married and whether you're happy and so on. But I'm not going to
answer that if you want, but I'm not going to tell you no matter how many times you ask it. Why do you love to ask people about
Because I care about you and because we haven't seen each other since we used to, you know, take a walk and talk.
I saw you at the Marvin Kipman party in New York.
But we didn't talk. Anyway, to get back to Connie. Hello, Connie. So I asked Connie to send me the tape. If you saw the whole tape, and nobody did.
Oh, I did.
Saw that, okay, they saw that little section, and that was it. There was a point, 4 or 5 minutes into it, when Mr. Gingrich, her father, says, well, you know, Newt isn't really from the South. He whispers. You know, he was born in...
Harrisburg Hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
He's really a Yankee. Yeah. And Connie whispers back, we won't tell anybody. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So that was the tone of this whole... Everybody was whispering, and Connie was
We don't have to do it here.
saying,
We can say it right out. We can just blurt it right.
But that's the way they were doing it.
Yeah.
You see, and Connie saying, we won't tell anybody. So that when, 10 minutes later, she said, just between you and me, we won't tell anybody. It was part of the whole interview.
Yeah, it was part of the shtick of the interview.
That's right. If you take it by itself, it sounds like she should have said off the record, this terrible girl. It wasn't. And then the other thing, everybody picks on Connie. Mrs. Gingrich said, Hillary Clinton is a bitch. Look, you know, Mrs. Gingrich is a nice older woman, and it came out as kind of, isn't she spicy? She went on another program the next night. All she had to say was, listen, I'm sorry, I was trapped last night with Connie Chung. I'm not going to repeat this. She said it again. She came on your program. So this is no mistake that she
By the way, when they came here, they said, we don't want to talk about Connie Chung.
But she had done it the next night.
I know.
She'd done on the next
American
night.
Journal or Inside Edition.
And nobody ever apologized to Hillary Clinton, who is with it all, or not with it all, who is our First Lady and deserves a position of respect. I don't think that Connie did anything wrong. I think that CBS, perhaps, didn't realize what was happening.
Well, it wasn't very helpful when the CBS brass came out the next day, and here's our first little test, fellas. When they came...
That's right, we are on that network.
Yeah, we are. And by the way, it ain't on videotape, so they can't take it out. But it didn't help when the CBS brass kind of left Connie out there twisting on the end of a rope.
Connie had got a bum rap, and I really am very glad, Tammy, that you've asked about it. Connie is a good and hard-working reporter.
I handled it myself.
I beg your pardon?
I agree with the way Connie did it myself. I think she did a good job.
And, you know, when all is said and done, so what? I mean, you know, so she said that Newt didn't think very highly of the First Lady. So what? He's a Republican. I mean, did you see, by the way, what Gingrich said about men and women the other day? Yeah.
Did you hear what he said about the press tonight?
No.
He said they were criticizing the book sale, and he said, I'm a revolutionary, and they're reactionaries, the Democrats and the press, and went on to lambast them. Good for him.
Yeah, it's a free country. Say what you want, pal.
Right, but he could also have said to his mother, as I used to say to my mother, don't go on, Mom, because, you know, you've never been on before, and who knows what you'll, you know.
Yeah, you got to be careful with us, Mom. We do strange things. Tammy, I'm very glad you called. Thanks.
Okay, I want to tell George Burns happy birthday.
I'm sure he's watching.
Yeah,
I saw him last night.
Good night, Tammy.
Good night.
Bye. You saw George?
I saw him. I've known George Burns all my life, really, in many ways, through my father.
Oh, sure, Lou Walter's Latin Quarter. There you go.
And I was at a restaurant, and someone came over to me and said, George is 99 years old.
Yeah.
Would you go back and say hello to him? So I did. And I put my hand out, and I said, George, do you think I'm too old for you? And he said, I think you're too young for me. And I said, do you think you could make it together? And there was this pause. I could tell that he couldn't hear me too well. And he said, what? And I said, do you think we could make it together? And he said, only if we just agree to use the bottom halves of our bodies. I thought, he's 99 years old. How wonderful. Happy birthday.
He's truly wonderful. You know, the Latin Quarter and being in your dad's family as a kid, when were you aware that showbiz was your dad's life and that he ran this fabulous nightclub that featured the best entertainment of its time?
From the time I was a little girl, because the first Latin Quarter opened in Boston. But, you know, when I look back now, and there are still comedians in the business, a Milton Berle or Henny Youngman, who still think of me as Lou Walter's daughter, not Barbara Walters. Yeah. But when I was...
Is that okay with you, by the way?
Oh, yeah, I'm so proud of my dad now. But when I was growing up, I wanted my father to be like everybody else's father. Yeah. My father was not home. Friday night was a big night. You know, Daddy would stay home. And we went to the Latin Quarter at Christmas and birthdays and Thanksgiving. I didn't want that. I wanted to be home. You know, I wanted to be like everybody else.
Have a turkey, you know, have a roast,
you know, have the family there. Yeah. And I didn't think it was wonderful. However, you know, I mean, I've talked about this occasionally. I used to sit in the lighting booth and watch the shows when I was a kid in Florida, and the Latin Quarter in Florida was replayed. Yeah. Ambassador Doug Kennedy used to come there, and Howard Hughes.
Would he come with Gloria Swanson or Rose?
I wouldn't have known, you know.
Yeah.
But I
See, now you would. That's it.
No, I wouldn't. But I can do all the numbers. I used to say if I had 2 glasses of wine, I could do Milton Berle, and I could do Willie Howard and Sophie Tucker. I mean, it's the side of me I hide. But anyway.
Come on, give me your Berle.
I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what he used to do. He would come out, and he'd stand in front of the microphone, and he'd go, oh, I was goosed by Westinghouse. Now, I mean, who needs to know that? Why do I have to remember that? I have never, ever said that. You know, there's a wonderful reporter for the New York Times named Judy Miller, and she writes a great deal about the Middle East. And her father was a man named Bill Miller. He had a place called Bill Miller's of the Air, and he now lives in Las Vegas. And Judy and I have talked about our backgrounds. You know, it's the minister's daughter who's the hellraiser, and it's the man who owns nightclubs who you know, turns out as we did. And my dad was an entrepreneur. My father did the shows. My father had nothing to do with mobs or gambling. He did these beautiful Ziegfeld-like shows. Yeah.
Goosed by Westinghouse. It's funny how
I'll pretend I never said that.
Yeah, I know you will, but I got it on tape, even though we're... It's funny. What does Barbara Walters have in her mind when she's doing television shows? I go about goose.
I never think about... Oh, please. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did that. I cannot tell you.
Hey, listen, if I were Letterman, I'd run that tape where you and Ed McMahon sell the tires or whatever it was when you did the commercial. Remember dear Betty Furness in our building? Yeah. I think of, when you mentioned Westinghouse, I think of her so often. God, she was so great, man.
And this is a woman who really changed her whole life around. And when you do it.
Let me do a commercial, then we'll go into my personal life. We'll be right back with Barbara Walters, who is Act 4 tonight. We'll continue after these messages.